Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Corner Kick. I'm Alex Fidrashevsky. Great to be back with you after a bit of a hiatus. We had some family things that we were tending to, weddings and the like, last week, and just kind of burned out from a trip to Chattanooga, so we took a week off. And, well, we're back in the saddle now. Had quite a soccer weekend. There's a lot to talk about, World Cup qualifying, things like that, so we're going to just jump right into the program this evening. Wanted to talk about the, obviously, debacle that was the U.S. national team last night. We'll get to that. Greg Berhalter is our topic of the evening, and again, we're going to talk about that, but we're coming to you from the Myers Management Studios, as always. Sponsored by The Guard Market this evening. Corner Kick brought to you each week by The Guard Market. Security professionals on demand. Again, you can catch them at theguardmarket.com. That's guardmarket.com. Security professionals on demand. We're also going to thank some of our other sponsors here, the Polish Falcons of America. For information, you can contact them regarding life insurance plans, 1-800-535-2071. That's 1-800-535-2071. Upholding traditional Polish values by promoting financial security, active lifestyles, and social well-being. So you can visit them. Of course, we'd also like to thank Lawrence Repair, Paul down the hall, making machines work for over 50 years, serving the entire Pittsburgh metro area. Visit them online, lawrencerepair.com. Of course, they are our title sponsor for the Old Time Radio shows in the overnight, so we'd like to thank Lawrence Repair for the Old Time Radio Hour. That's right, starting at 10 p.m. from 10 until 6. We've got a whole new schedule debuting tonight, actually, so make sure you check out our social media there at Three Rivers Broadcasting. Check us out on Facebook. We'll have that all linked up there, and then we'll have it listed on our website over the course, probably the next 24 hours or so, but it's a doozy. I really think that it's a very, very good lineup, and we're going back into the vault, all courtesy of our good friends at Lawrence Repair. Let's also thank Gym Rat Performance Training for their support of Three Rivers Broadcasting, the best basketball trainers in Pittsburgh. They got a pro overseas right now, so make sure you check out Kaysen. He's playing in Ireland, went back there, and I think he dropped 30 in his first game back. Did an absolutely fantastic job playing professional basketball over there in Europe. GymRatPT.com. That's GymRatPT.com. We'd also like to thank Carnegie Ironworks for their support of Three Rivers Broadcasting. Again, we'll get them all here at the top of the show. Residential, commercial, custom ordering available. They are a multi-generation family steel and iron fabricator based right here in Allegheny County. Visit them online at CarnegieIron.com. That's CarnegieIron.com. All right, let's jump into it, ladies and gentlemen. Start things off on a happy note before we get into the U.S. national team. We were down at Highmark Stadium last night. It was a very big match for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. It was a win-in game for them. As long as they were able to defeat the first-place Tampa Bay Rowdies, they would qualify for the USL playoffs for the fourth consecutive year. They did that 2-0 in an impressive victory at the Mark. Tommy Williamson scored early. Russell Cicerone got one a little later on. Danny Vitiello, 4 saves. Penalty kick stop to preserve a lead. We had that on our social media. I was able to get a really cool field level view. So if you're on our Instagram and Twitter, make sure you check that out. I got a nice shot at field level. We can only get so close because of the action, but I got as close as they would let me get with the media pass there, and we got a real nice field level shot. Had the camera on the field to watch the save. It was pretty good. Really nice stop. He read the taker very, very well. Waited, held his line till the last possible second, and it was one of those textbook saves. And we were in the press conference afterwards, and Vitiello says, goalkeepers aren't supposed to save penalty kicks. Normally that's not how it works. I with all due respect to Vitiello, who I think is probably the best goalkeeper in the USL right now, I'm going to go ahead and disagree, because there are certain tells that as a goalkeeper you are taught when you're younger to look for. And whether, that's is the player opening his hips during the run-up? Is he turning his foot, depending right or left? There are little things that you can watch that will telegraph where the ball is going. And Vitiello, maybe he didn't want to give away trade secrets, and I just gave away a trade secret of goalkeeping, but he held his line and read it. And even, former goalkeeper myself over here, you could see it when the guy was in his run-up. I'm like, okay, he's going to Vitiello's left. You could see it. And Vitiello had that read and had that covered the whole way. And when he stepped off the line, he dove hard to his left side, and he got all of it and parried it away. It was an absolutely fantastic stop. Textbook penalty stop for him. And again, I think he's probably the best goalkeeper in the USL. I watch a lot of soccer, specifically, down at the USL level, because obviously we report on the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and we go down there and do some coverage on match days and get to training here and there as the schedule affords us. He did a very, very good job. The match first half, I want to say Tampa, as I said in my post game, rather my halftime reactions, I think Tampa had the better run of play in the first half. I do. I think the majority of the possession and the quality of possession came from Tampa, specifically early on. I'd say in the first 15 to 20 minutes. But the better chances in the first half came from the Riverhounds. I think they had 2 or 3 chances early on. Williamson, I think, had a shot in, it was like 15, 16 minutes in, somewhere, right around the quarter hour mark. His shot was on its way into the net, but Kenardo Forbes was in the way and it hit him. And then it was cleared out by Tampa Bay. So it was early on. He had a chance. Former Riverhounds striker Steven Dos Santos had a chance for Tampa going the other way, but again, it was largely a quiet first half. But again, I think Pittsburgh had the better opportunities in the first half, and they made it count. We're in the 42nd minute. Kilwain sends a cross from the left side, really whipped it in hard. Jordan Scarlett misplays, I guess you could say, misplays the cross. I'd like to say he swung and missed on the clearance, the former New York Red Bull Academy player, and the ball falls right to Williamson's feet at the 6, taps it home, his 6th goal of the season. And now the Riverhounds, who were, I don't want to say they were on their back foot, are one to the good and have the momentum going into halftime and come out second half. Tampa kind of sweeps forward. They do a little bit better in the first, 10 minutes of the second half. They have that penalty kick, and Leo Fernandez steps up, takes the penalty. Vitiello stops it, and, kind of that momentum comes back for the Riverhounds now. And after that penalty kick stop, you could kind of feel it, that the momentum had really shifted. The Riverhounds started asserting themselves better in the middle third of the field. The possession was there that was lacking in the first half, kind of coupling passes down the field that they struggled with a little bit early on in the game, was really there in the second half. Specifically after the penalty kick, Tampa kind of dropped the emotional level a little bit, and you could see it from the back line all the way through. They were able to start creating a little bit more space. The runs off the ball were a little bit better. And then 72nd minute, Dixon gets tripped up by Forrest Lasso. Hounds get their own penalty kick. Cicerone scores. That is his 15th goal of the season. From what I had looked at, I believe that is the 3rd or 4th best goal-scoring output in a single season by a Riverhounds player in the history of the franchise. Nico Brett, obviously, up there at the top of the list. 2018 had an absolutely fantastic season, and clearly, we miss him. He was a wonderful player to watch. He was electric and enjoyable. Cicerone, I think you're hard pressed to. I know it's October. You never know. You never know what kind of budgeting and negotiations happen in the off season. But the type of season he's having, you have to think that there's a move for Cicerone coming up in January. I think that there would be some MLS team that would be willing to roll the dice on a guy who can find the net the way he does. Especially if you look around the league, some of the secondary strikers on these teams, your backup strikers. I look at Cicerone and compare him to maybe Barlow from Red Bull, or Brian White, who was at Red Bull that's now in Vancouver. And White's having a decent season, but I look at Cicerone compared to them. I'm like, listen, this guy's as good as them, if not better. I think he's better than Barlow, who Red Bull kind of leaned on for the better part of a year and a half. I think Cicerone's movement's better. I think his speed is better. I think his touch is better. I think his finishing is better. So, maybe I'm getting ahead of us a little bit here, but you have to think that with the season that he has had, that Russell Cicerone, the odds of him being in a Riverhounds uniform, again, unless there's something we don't, I don't know the contract situation or the negotiations that are taking place. I've gotten to know these guys pretty well over the course of the season, and now we've got Zach shooting us photos from the Mount Lebanon game. He went back on Saturday. We were all there on Friday, obviously, for the Lebo Central Catholic game, but Zach was there back to see his alma mater, Mount Lebanon, seal it out on Saturday morning. We got to catch up with him. I get to talk to them a little bit of shop here and there, but I think there are certain things that stay in the club as it should, and you know that I'm a kind of a media person, as what we are here at Three Rivers Broadcasting, becoming a sports media company and video production company, things like that. So, you don't know what's going on, but at the base level, you watch Cicerone's play this year, and you have to think that there's going to be some interest snooping around for him come the offseason. And rightfully so. He's having a career year. And again, whether maybe it's a MLS team, possibly USL team with a larger budget, or for me, I would think an MLS team could be snooping around for a guy like him. He's in his prime, 15 with 3 to go. He's probably going to finish with 2 home games and an away game, Hartford, Charleston. You got to figure there's at least 2 more in there for him. I don't know if there's a third one down in Miami. Maybe there is, but you got to figure that Cicerone, he's probably good for 2 more in the regular season. And, maybe 1 or 2 in the playoffs, depending on how far they go. So, he hits 20 across the season. Somebody's got to take a look. There, it could be some, maybe some smaller teams in far-flung places in Europe, or an MLS team. You got to figure somebody's going to take a look at Cicerone, who's been absolutely fantastic all season. Man of the match, I think Vitiello, the Hounds gave it to him. I think it's safe to say the penalty kick carried that momentum forward and, made another save on a free kick late. And I think even giving up the penalty I think it was the right decision. He was quick off the line. Dos Santos is in on a goal-scoring opportunity, and it's one of those things that if you're gonna go for it, you make sure you want to go for the ball, but if you're gonna concede it, you don't want to miss the ball and have the guy get in behind you. So you make sure if it's dragging the leg or just coming right through him. If you concede the penalty, you give yourself a 50-50 chance. I think that was probably the right decision to make. And, he controlled I thought he did a good job controlling the 18. The Rowdies were whipping in crosses. He was picking them off. So he did his job. And, for them, they'd give him the man of the match. You could make a case for quite a few players last night. I think you could make a case for anybody on the back line. And Bob Lilly went with a big back line. It's very rare, that you'll see a team run with 4 center backs, essentially, because Kilwain, Peters, Williams, Wheat, you're looking at 4 guys who are used to playing the same position, and they were able to frustrate Tampa a little bit by slowing them down, kind of beating on them a little bit. If you want to call it that, it would be almost like a boxer. If you watch the like I did, you stayed up to watch Tyson Fury and Wilder. It's kind of the idea of laying on him and laying on him and laying on him. You got these big defenders that are 6'3", 6'4", 200 pounds. Plus some of them, you start laying on these guys and pressuring them. You start to wear them down as the game went on. So you can make a case for anybody on the back line. You can make a case for Danny Griffin in the center of the park. You can make a case for Kennardo Forbes. You can make a case for Tommy Williamson, who, could have had 2. So it was a good performance for the Riverhounds. Nice to see Albert Dikwa get back into the mix. They got him about 10 minutes. They put him on the 81st, so plus the stoppage time. He got, maybe, I guess it ended up being about 13, 14 minutes for Dikwa last night. Jordan Dover coming back off of an injury. Dover played 20. last night. So starting to see these guys get a little time as they get closer to the to the playoffs. For Tampa, I think a little bit flat. They missed, and after the penalty, especially after the penalty kick. After the penalty kick, Tampa was flat. And part of it, too, is they know they can't, theoretically, they're not going to get caught. Tampa's going to win the East. I mean, Pittsburgh won. Pittsburgh wins out there. I still don't think mathematically, I don't think they can catch them. So, I don't want to say Tampa's putting the brakes on going into the playoffs. I don't think so. They certainly went for it, but it's not, the loss isn't going to hurt them as much, as if it was the Riverhounds who took the defeat. And I think Tampa, they'll regroup and be ready for the playoffs. But for Pittsburgh, we talk about it, over the press conferences throughout this season. Bob Lilly is out there saying, "Hey, listen, we're gonna win the season series against Atlanta. We're gonna win the season series against Red Bull, who, again, if someone gets called up to Red Bull New York, Red Bull's 2, the baby Bulls, they'll just go pluck the next 16-year-old from the academy and don't care if they lose." And I've rambled about this before, because the idea is to take the kid from the academy to Red Bull 2 to Red Bull to either Salzburg or Leipzig or somewhere else in Europe and cash in. So he said, we're going to win the season series against these guys. We have to start clipping off the independent franchises like us. They won the season series against the Tampa Bay Rowdies, against the first place team. So you got to feel good about that. Taking, they lost the first match down there, and Bob Lilly even said it, he said it last night in the press conference. Hey, listen, it's 80-something degrees. It's humid. We're training in Pittsburgh in February when it's 25, 30 degrees. You go down there. That's a very tough environment as it is. Then you throw all that on top of it with the first game of the season. Didn't go too well, but again, they did the job. Tough trip coming up again into Miami on Saturday. That'll be the second trip to Miami in 3 weeks. And then they close it out October 23rd with the Charleston Battery, and October 30th is the final home game of the regular season against Hartford Athletic. Those two matches are really about playoff positioning. If they can take 6 points out of the last 3, they should finish second. It should get them a home game, at least one in the USL Eastern Conference playoffs. If they can take 9, might guarantee them 2. But 6 should at least get them 1. But again, it was a good performance last night by the Pittsburgh Riverhounds once they settled in, and they got that goal late in the first half, swung the momentum. The penalty kick stop gave them the second shot of life, and they controlled the rest of the match. And once they got the second one, it was kind of time for Bob Ball, and they just lock it down, and that's it. So they were, he seemed pretty pleased in the post-game press conference, had some good things to say about, Dequa and Dover coming back, some nice things. I asked him about Tommy Williamson. He's very happy with the way he's played this year. It's another one who, Williamson on loan from San Jose, probably not long for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. He'll be joining them for, obviously for preseason next year, most likely. I could see him winning an MLS contract next year. And I think if San Jose kept him and loaned him, the idea is, we want to see if he could come in. And as Wondolowski moves out, is Williamson the kid that moves in and could potentially, be that bench guy for, an extended period of time for them? But again, got him for a few more weeks here with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and it's been a very, very good, good evening for them yesterday. We're going to take a quick pause for the cause and see what we're going to do here. Let's see, who do we have to promote here? Well, I guess we got, we're going to go with, let's load it up here. Let's bring this up now. We're going to go hear from Waste Management, one of our fine sponsors. They're currently hiring here in Pittsburgh. We're going to hear from Waste Management, the Guard Market, and also from Carnegie Iron Works. And then we'll be back with more of the Corner Kick on Three Rivers Broadcasting.
A job that can turn into a career? If so, why don't you hit the road with Waste Management? Waste Management is hiring experienced and entry-level CDL truck drivers and technicians. If you're at least 18 years of age, come join our growing team and get up to a $7,000 sign-on bonus based on experience. online at careers.wm.com. The Guard Market is a digital marketplace that provides customers with access to licensed security professionals on demand. Let's face it, you have a lot to do running your business, and security, well, that's our business. We take the hassle out of searching, vetting, and scheduling private security guards for your unique needs. Just tell us what you need. You can visit our website at www.theguardmarket.com and call Andrew at 732-266-9344 with your service requests today. The Guard Market, security on demand. Carnegie Ironworks is Pittsburgh's go-to for artistic, unique, and decorative steel and iron designs. We provide custom fencing, interior and exterior railings, outdoor fire pits, window coverings, and much more. If you can think of it, we can fabricate it. Find us on the web at www.carnegieiron.com. That's Carnegie Ironworks, for when you need it, for 500 years.
Are you looking for a job that can turn into a career? If so, why don't you hit the road with Waste Management? Waste Management is hiring experienced and entry-level CDL truck drivers and technicians. If you're at least 18 years of age, come join our growing team and get up to a $7,000 sign-on bonus based on experience. WM offers competitive pay and industry-leading benefits, including tuition reimbursement for yourself and dependents. Start your tomorrow today. Visit WM online at careers.wm.com.
Fidrishevsky with you. It is Corner Kick USA. We are with you each and every Monday night at 6 o'clock for a whip around of soccer talk. Again, we kicked it off with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Now it's time to get on down to the meat of it. Oh, the meat of it. We talked about it all summer. We talked about it a month ago, and now we get to talk about it again tonight. Greg Berhalter, once again, lays an egg. Said since he was hired that he wasn't the right man for the job. Took a middling MLS coach. Defensive-minded guy who was fired from Hammarby for being too defensive and expected him to take the golden generation and turn them loose. So, the U.S. lost. If you don't know, I think everybody in the soccer world knows. The U.S. lost to Panama last night in a World Cup qualifier. And They weren't really in the game either. I know we were at the Riverhounds game. I went back and watched it. But it wasn't good. I went back and watched the replay. And it was uninspired. And now you've kind of messed the whole we need 7 up. That was kind of everybody's baseline. You needed 7 the first go-around, 7 the second go-around, then you're in good position to probably be in the top 3. Now you're off pace. And for the second time in 2 months, we can have the conversation of, is Greg Berhalter on the hot seat? He switched out 7 players from the first qualifier, and I get it. Okay, it's 3 games in 7 days. Well, guess these guys do this in the club level all the time. And he stuck out there. Seven guys in his starting lineup from Major League Soccer, which I have said for years. JJ and I talked about it when we were doing this on television in Allentown for years. This is going on 7 years now. The league is not competitive enough to produce the type of talent in their prime that can go fight at the national team level. It's a great place to bleed young talent and send them off. But if there's a guy here who's 27 making $800,000, it's because he took the money to stay home. He's not going to have the bite. We've talked about it ad nauseum. So what does Berhalter do? Rolls out 7 of them in his starting lineup. 3 of them got burned on the goal. Go back. Watch the replay. Who got burned? Who didn't pick up the man? Who didn't pick up the runner at the near post? The triangle of MLS guys. Zardes, who was putrid. He's a good B-team guy. I said that during the Gold Cup and all. He's a B-team guy. In a lot of ways, it was like Wondolowski, he could go bang 5 on El Salvador, but again, in a big game, he always struggled because he was just a step off. Maybe it's because Wondolowski didn't go to Poznan when that offer was kind of being floated around. That was like 2012. Maybe it's because he didn't go get in the meat grinder. He never really had the next level to push up and be that guy. He's a good B-team guy. This is like Zardes. Yeah, he scored against Qatar or whatever in the Gold Cup. He's a B-team player. There's nothing in the final third. And a lot of people say, oh, well, there wasn't much service for him. Yeah, the midfield was crap too. I'm not gonna mix words here. Kellyn Acosta, I said, if Kellyn Acosta puts all the pieces together and Kellyn Acosta brings his A game every game, Kellyn Acosta is starting at a place like Napoli. Kellyn Acosta is starting at a place like Dortmund. Kellyn Acosta is starting at a place like, I don't know, Marseille. The problem is, for every game Kellyn Acosta brings it, there's 4 or 5 that are 2s. And we got one last night. Couple of bad giveaways in his own end. Consumed by the environment. And this is sad because 2 months ago, again, maybe it's because it's the B team group. I'm sitting there going, Kellyn Acosta, if the way he played throughout the Gold Cup, this is a bad. Hey, he could be our rock in defensive midfield. This guy, if he keeps stringing this together, can still earn that next step. Then a game like last night happens, and if I'm a scout from Europe, I'm like, wow, I'm not wasting my time on him. It was terrible. The tactics all wrong once again. A lot of this falls on Berhalter. He had guys out there that shouldn't have been out there. And a lot of, you could give poor ratings around for the team. It's a lot of it has to go back to the way Berhalter set the whole thing up and the tone that he set. Call in Walker Zimmerman to captain the side. My thoughts on Walker Zimmerman. And the thing is, if it wasn't Zimmerman, if he was healthy, you would have gotten an Aaron Long in there. Wouldn't have been any better. Probably would have got burned twice. Everybody was all over him for 2 or 3 years, and I'm sitting there watching him at Red Bull New York going, this guy's not a national team defender. He's not a starter. He's barely serviceable for Red Bull. Parker covered his butt. I thought he was a better defender. Long benefited from Murillo and Lawrence and Parker. Robles and David, he had. It's like we talk about Pogba had guys who covered for him. Long was one of those guys. He had 5 guys who could cover for him. And everybody would be like, oh, he tracked down one play. Well, he got burned 5 other times. So that your interchangeable MLS center back that was, Berhalter going for the guys that the Don wants in there. Got to have our marquee high-earning players from MLS in there. And it's funny, I've talked about it. I'm like, the only guy from MLS that should be in that team is Sebastian Lletget. The rest of them, forget it. Giassi Zardes, 30 years old. What are you even wasting your damn time on him for? 30 years old. Can't produce at the A level. Never could. Lucky Bradley Wright Phillips got hurt. He lost his spot to a 37-year-old. It showed. The whole team was bad last night. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, maybe, Shaq Moore did better. Or George George Bello or any of these other guys did better than the guys I named off. He's throwing a young kid like Bello in there who hasn't made a move yet and didn't get forward. Musa was ineffective. The midfield was disjointed the whole night. Way was kind of silent. Areola, okay, he runs. He's got a high work rate. Squad rotation, 3 games in 7 days, this, that. Okay, I get it. You wanna do a little squad rotation. There's better options. There are better options out there than the guys they brought in. And I guess based off of the summer in the JV tournaments, you could argue that Acosta belonged in the A group. I guess. Like I had said, if he plays like I said this after that, if he played like it every game, you could put him in. Pencil him in. Maybe take a permanent marker. Well, you could take that permanent marker and cross him off after the way he played last night. If they play like this against Costa Rica, they'll cough up 3. And Costa Rica has been a turning point before. The last go-around when the MLS guys quit on Jurgen. Because that's who quit on Jurgen. Walking Mikey, Lazy Josie, Screaming Bedoya, carry me across the field for training in Trinidad because it's raining. So here we come once again back to Costa Rica 1 cycle later after a qualifying defeat. With Mexico looming in Cincinnati, Berhalter once again probably, or should be. I don't know if he is. With the way that this federation works, he was the only guy they interviewed for the job. Sure, it had nothing to do with the fact that his brother was working for the federation. His job should be on the line on Wednesday. You don't want to see anybody lose their job or this or that, but you know what? Berhalter, for the second time in 2 months, should be on the hot seat in a do-or-die situation. And in Honduras, he was on his way out at halftime. He bundled the first 5 halves of qualifying. And I said this on the day after the Honduras game. He took a bunch of darts, looked at the board, and went, I hope this works and hope something sticks. And he got lucky. He opened them up, and his roll of the dice worked. Because the first 5 halves, he got it all wrong. And then he went and got another 2 wrong last night. Right now, you can make the case that Ricardo Pepi is single-handedly keeping Greg Berhalter as the manager of the U.S. national team. And I know you're the defenders of Berhalter, your apologists of MLS and all of that, they're going to sit there and go, well, he's won 70% of the games. In the B tournaments, sure, great. A 7-0 thrashing of Trinidad in a friendly in the winter. And El Salvador in the winter. A 6-0 win. Okay, if he's so great and he's got this down, how do you go from 6-0 December 9th against El Salvador to 0-0 in San Salvador in a World Cup qualifier? So what happened when it mattered? The Nations League means zilch. The 6-2 thumping of Panama and Austria means nothing. Because he just went and lost to them. The odds of Greg Berhalter's job actually being on the line are probably slim to none. But from a standpoint as a U.S. national team fan, who has a voice here, but as somebody who's take out the journalism, reporting, broadcasting thing, just from a fan perspective, how can you sit there and not say, okay, if we drop this one, how can the Federation not make a move? How do you not make a move? We're going to Columbus. We're going. We're taking a trip. Follow our social media. We're going to document the whole thing on our Instagram, and we're going to get some video, and we'll put together a little montage of our trip through Columbus. But we're going. We're leaving tomorrow. The CEO is flying in the morning. Coach and I are recording the sports show for Wednesday. He's got a big thing coming up on Wednesday, and we're hopeful that it'll come through for him. So say a prayer for Coach Krzyzewski. Nothing bad. I don't want to confuse that. Might sound like something's not right with his health or something. No. He's got a big thing coming on Wednesday. He's got a big meeting, and please say a prayer for Coach Krzyzewski. By the way, big thing coming up for him. So we're not going to talk about it yet, but say a prayer for Coach Krzyzewski, everybody. And we're going to record the sports show. Pick up the coach. We're going to probably swing through Steubenville for a meeting, and then out to Columbus we go, and we'll be there. The CEO and I will be out there for the World Cup qualifier. And on a personal note, it's always fun to do World Cup qualifier with your father. I know we kind of give everybody the titles and the this and the that, but at the end of the day, on a personal level, going to do a little bit of business and work with Dad is always a fun thing. We did Costa Rica last time, but this is his first road trip to a qualifier, and we're doing Columbus. So I had a blast in Columbus with JJ the last time, and looking forward to going back. But it's high stakes with big pressure. This was the worst game in the 34 months Greg Berhalter has been the manager. They managed 5 shots. Don't let the possession number of 50% fool you. You know, folks might say, "Oh, the pitch was heavy." You know, so it was a wet pitch. The conditions weren't right. You know, loud. It's loud everywhere you go in CONCACAF. It's humid everywhere you go. Unless you go to Canada, it's humid. The grass, unless you're in Azteca or Canada, or maybe the National Stadium in Costa Rica now, which is beautiful, is subpar. The pitch isn't going to be perfect. What was there? No bite. From the 7 changes from the MLS guys, no bite. Clint Dempsey, quote, "They didn't have the fight. They didn't look like they wanted to be on the ball." The last player of a generation who actually had guts was Dempsey. The players who are in MLS, and you know what, too? Dempsey went. Maybe that's why. But he just had the bite. Then after him came the group that he just talked about. They didn't have the fight. Twellman, what are we doing? What are we doing? Taylor and Dempsey, they're not much older than some of those guys that have played in these games with them. Zardes played games with them. You know, Bradley and Josie, I think, you know, their national team careers are done, dusted, finished forever. But that was the transition line. Dempsey, Donovan, go backwards. The guys between 25 and 35 didn't have it. Didn't have the bite. They were sloppy. There were portions of the match where, you know, this isn't like Mexico high pressing. Panama, you know, there were portions of the game where, try to describe it, no, we'll just use soccer terms. Pressing 2 to control the center backs and the 6 with the goalkeeper and controlled it. And you're going to say, you know, how do you let that happen? How are you not prepared? Is it on Berhalter? Is it on the players? It's on both. Both. You had 7 changes who didn't step up. These MLS guys got to, you know, who aren't getting the job done in the big contests. And it's on Berhalter for bringing him in the first place. It's more so on Berhalter. Maybe we learned a little bit that you can't replace Tyler Adams, too. Trying to take him out, hope that he could give him just a half or something. There's a stat put out that the midfielders that were there, that was Musa, Lletget, and Acosta. I think it was 10 passes completed to each other in the first half. And Adams, McKennie, and Musa completed like 40 to each other in a half. There's the A players against the B players. Now, are you going to have Adams and McKennie available in Columbus? Yeah. But you went all this way. You flew players like Busio and Luca Della Torre, and most glaringly for me, Matthew Hoppe, who has been fantastic for the U.S. Tough, physical, bought in here. Gutsy 20-year-old. You flew him all the way from Spain. To not use him. To play Gyasi Zardes. To skip over a host of talented players. and yeah, I'm on to I've kind of moved past the tactics. We know he got him wrong. He gets them wrong all the time. They won the Gold Cup in spite of him. They won the Nations League in spite of him. They won them on guts. The guts from those kids. Even the kids from in MLS, the 20, 21-year-olds that played in a Gold Cup. The kids, the guts, that's what won those games, not his tactics. He got lucky against Honduras that his dartboard move worked. There was no dartboard to throw last night. You look down the list of players who didn't get brought in, and yeah, okay, you could look at, maybe there's some knocks, some guys maybe just making moves or, whatever it is, but you run through a list of 4 or 5 strikers who weren't in there that could they have made a difference? If they're on point. Guy like, Pete Falk, good enough to score against Manchester United, but no, Gyasi Zardes is better than him. I'm going to go there. American striker scoring against Manchester United. No. We're going to use Gyasi Zardes. Yeah, we like him. He's a known. Yeah, so's Paul Arriola. Can't hit the broadside of a barn for club or country. Against the Panama side, whose 11 have pretty extensive experience by and large in South America and Europe. Who outplayed them from the opening kick, who were tougher, grittier, and, everybody says MLS is a great league. Eric Davis plays for Dutch Dunajska Streda in Slovakia. Their left back. Riddle me that one, Batman. So to everybody who talks about, it's on par with the championship. There's not an MLS team that would survive the championship. The best team would get relegated handily. It's too physical for them. It's too tough. The pressure's too high. Shows in the stadiums now, too. The crickets that you hear and the empty seats galore. God, that Twitter account must be having so much fun with MLS this season, but that's neither here nor there. You look through their roster. You start 7 MLS guys against Murillo, who's from Anderlecht, Escobar, Alcaron, Davis. Again, Dunajska Streda is probably the second best team right now in Slovakia. They got a couple of guys over there. bringing in guys from, the Peruvian League, Universitario, Cienciano, Leganés in Spain. Guys who've kind of globe-trotted a little bit. Blackburn, who's been all over. Even off the bench, Eduardo Guerrero, coming from Israel. They just wanted it more. They wanted it more. They're not playing at better levels than the European guys in the U.S. national team pool. But when you match those guys up against MLS guys, I'll take that Panamanian 11 over 7 MLS Americans any day of the week. 7 days of the week. Because it'll be one or two mistakes and some shaky possession, and that'll determine the game. And it did. Another slow start. And it's all on the line now. Costa Rica did beat El Salvador 2-1. This isn't the same Costa Rica team that dominated and ran its way through the World Cup for a spell. Gosh, that was a while back. They're older now, and a lot of those players like Junior Diaz and them are gone. And most of their team now plays in Costa Rica, but they have extensive experience, and they're going to be cagey. They're going to be tough. Borges, Brian Ruiz still around there. They're going to be tough. And I hope Berhalter is ready. Because if he's not, should probably be getting the resume ready. You could say it was a gamble to rotate the roster. No, it wouldn't have been if he had the right players. But Gyasi Zardes wasn't the right player. Kellen Acosta, oh man, like I said, Kellen Acosta. Kellen Acosta's, when he's on his game, Kellen Acosta's as good as Weston McKennie or Tyler Adams when he brings his A game. The problem is Weston McKennie and Tyler Adams can do it every game. Kellen Acosta can do it 1 out of 4 in a big game. When he's playing Martinique, Kellen Acosta can breeze through like he's playing in MLS. World Cup qualifier in Panama, a little bit different. Little bit different. And again, it's 1 out of 4 for a guy like that. Not good enough. You look around the world, there's some good World Cup qualifying games. If you're up early, Japan, Australia, I believe it kicks off at 6:15 Eastern tomorrow. Could be a good match. High quality. Out of both teams. Not sure there's a big one in Europe tomorrow, though. The matchups just don't seem to really work out. Denmark, Austria, probably your match of the day. I think England should, they should take past Hungary, Poland, Albania. I think Denmark, Austria, or Ukraine, maybe Ukraine, Bosnia could be something tomorrow. Not a whole lot, I think, to write home about for tomorrow's matchups for European World Cup qualifying. But Wednesday, again, is the big one. We're going. We'll be there. Looking forward to it. And I think we've kind of about exhausted everything we need to talk about here tonight on Corner Kick. Make sure you stay tuned. We've got some hits of a lifetime coming up at 7 o'clock. The Rosary in English at 9, brought to you by Mother Mercy Academy. And in Polish at 9:30, brought to you by the Polish Falcons. Lawrence Repair Old Time Radio Show comes up after that. And again, obviously no live Pittsburgh Sports Report this week. Coach and I will record it. It'll still air at the same time. But again, we won't be live this week. Obviously, I'm going to be in Columbus. So, and he's got his big thing too. So again, say a prayer for Coach Krzyzewski. Nothing bad. Very good, actually. If all goes to plan, this is going to be very, very good. could even benefit us here at Three Rivers Broadcasting. So say a prayer for Coach K. And we'll catch you here. What do we got? Thursday, City League. I'm going to come back from Columbus. We're going to go right to City League, right to Couple Stadium. And on Friday, we'll be back down at Couple Stadium. And then after the game, Jordan, Coach K, and myself will bring you the Friday football scoreboard show, the Pigskin Report. That'll come on right about 10:15, give or take. And hopefully Andy and I will get it right this time. We'll be able to do it in the first shot instead of getting halfway through and realizing that we have a technical difficulty and then get a quarter way through it the second time and realize that we have to do it again. I think we were both kind of waiting for Jordan to stand up and walk out on us on Friday. But I came off without a hitch. Third time was the charm. So we'll be back again on Friday for the Friday Football Scoreboard show. And, that's it. Have a great night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in to the Corner Kick on Three Rivers Broadcasting. Go US. I'm not making a prediction because it's Greg Berhalter. It's win or probably else for him. And I hope his darts are accurate on Wednesday.